Hello, this is the calculator example we're going to do. We have the average monthly cost to workers for family health insurance listed here by year, and we changed the years by a scale so that the numbers would be smaller. We're going to use this data to determine the linear regression line. We're going to calculate the R and R squared diagnostics, and we're going to predict the cost in 2018 using this model, and that would correspond to X being 9. So, and here is our calculator. So that's what we're going to be doing. First order of business is we will look at our window. So I'm going to be hitting this button right here and look at the window. Now, because I have the X values going in single digits and the Y values are hundreds, and I do have to make sure that this fits in the window for the calculations, I'm going to have X running from 0, in this case, to 10, and the scaling factor will be 1. The Y's I'm going to have growing by 100 because those are hundreds of dollars, and I took it up to 700. So the scaling factor is 100. That's what each tick mark will represent. Now I'm going to clear the list. And this is where I'm going to be entering the data. The reason you have to clear a list is because somebody else might have some other data in there and you want to erase that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the Stat button and I will clear list, which is option 4. So now I have to pick which list I'm going to clear. I'm going to hit second, and then I'm going to hit list here, and I'm telling it I'm going to clear list 1. And then I will hit enter, and now list 1 is cleared. That means I can enter my data into list 1. I also have to clear list 2, so I'm going back to stat. I'm going to clear list again 4, but this time it is going to be list 2, which is where we're going to put the Y's. So I go down to there and hit that, hit done, and now both those lists are cleared. Now I'm going to enter my data. So as I'm entering my data, I am going to go to stat, but now I'm editing the list, and I have a screen that looks like this. So I will move the cursor over here and I'll just be entering the data. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those are my 5 data points. Then I'm going to go back up to the next row. I'm going to put these numbers in. It is 293, enter. 333, enter. 344, enter. 360, enter. 380, enter. And 402, enter. And I'm going to enter the whole thing, and there is where my data is. Now I am going to create a scatter plot, and I am going to first let me go to y equals here, and I am going to look at plot 1, and in fact the way to get there, let me go a different way. I'm going to hit second, and then this up here says stat plot. So I will go to stat plot, and now I'm going to use stat plot 1, and so I have to turn stat plot. So I'm hitting 1, I'm entering that. I'm going to be turning this on, and that is what I'm using as a scatter plot. And you see my X's are coming from list 1, my Y's are coming from list 2, and I have choices in the kind of marks I'm going to make, and I'm just going to make that first kind of mark. Now if I want to look at this graph, then I will hit graph, which is the button right up here, and there is a scatter plot of the data for us. Now, because I want to calculate those diagnostics, I am going to look at the mode, and I'm going to scroll down, and I am going to make sure that my statistics diagnostics and my stat wizard are both on. So I'm going to make sure that that's on and that's on. They won't always be, and if they're not on, you have to turn them on. So I'm going to enter that, and that is good. And now we're ready to do the calculation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the statistics. I'm going to scroll over to calc, and I'm going to go down to, I want a linear regression of the form AX plus B. And so that's the button that I'm going to punch, and I'm telling it that I want the X values to come from list 1. I want the y values to come from list 2. We are not talking about a frequency list yet, so I can just skip that one. But since I am going to be doing a calculation, I want to store the regression equation somewhere, and I'm going to store it in y1. And the way I'm going to do that is I am going to hit alpha F4, that button there, and I'm going to enter y1. So that's where we're going to store this, and now we're ready to calculate. I will hit the calculate button, and you see that I find out that the slope, the coefficient of the x, is 20.05 and all of those other numbers. The y-intercept is 301.857. The r-squared value is 0.97. That means that that is the percentage of the variation that is explained by the regression analysis, and the r value is very close to 1, is 0.985, and that's a good value, meaning it's probably good enough to use. Now, we did suggest that we wanted to store the regression equation in y1, and that's where it is. So now I can do the calculate function that we learned about earlier in y1, and the calculate function will just take the value, and we will have this, and now it's saying for what x value, and I decided that it was x equal 9, and so now we can answer the question, and this is the y value for that x value. Hope that helps. Now, here is a problem for you to try on your own. So this is what's happening with some U.S. banks. We will go over this in class, so you should do this before class, and we'll compare notes. So again, you're using this data to determine a linear regression line. You're going to get r and r squared, and you're going to predict the number of banks in 2020. See you in class.